There was a time when buying a video game meant you actually owned the video game. Crazy concept, I know. You used to be able to go to a store, buy it, take it home, put it in, and just play it. That was your game. Now you open the box and it's just a code. A code, if you're lucky. And the worst part is, we've all kind of just accepted it. We buy games digitally, we download them, we build these giant libraries on PlayStation, Xbox, Nintendo, Steam, whatever. And it feels like we own all of it. But a lot of the time, we don't own the game. We own access to the game, and access is not the same thing as ownership. So this video is about the death of owning games. But I don't want this to just be another digital bad, physical good video, because honestly, I think that argument is already kind of over. We're not winning the push against digital. The industry is moving online whether we like it or not. The real question is this: if we can't fully stop it, what's the least terrible version of this feature? And weirdly enough, the answer might be something a lot of people already hate. Game key cards. Look, digital games are not evil. I buy digital games, everybody does. Sometimes there's a digital sale so good that you buy a game you have no intention of playing. Digital is convenient, that's why it won. Not because every gamer woke up one day and said, you know what, I won. Less consumer rights. It won because it's easy. Just click, download, play. But convenience is exactly how we got here. Because once a game is tied to your account, the company has way more power. They control the storefronts, the license, the access. They control whether the game stays available. And once everything moves online, players have less leverage than ever. That's the part that bothers me. Not the digital access, it's the digital became the default before players got a better deal. GTA 6, one of the biggest games ever, probably the biggest game release in the world. And the physical version is just a download code in a box. That is insane. And yes, I know this is not the first time this has happened. Code in a box releases have existed before, but this is different. This is not some random game, this is GTA. When a game that big says, yeah, the physical version is basically just packaging, every other publisher sees that and realizes they can probably get away with it too. And I get it, modern games are huge. Day one patches exist, some games are so big, your console has to delete half of your storage just to install them. But there is still a massive difference between a disk that installs data and a box that only has a code. Because a code is usually one and done. Once you redeem it, it's tied to your account. That's it. So when people say, who cares? You still get the game. I get what they mean. But no, you don't get the same thing. You get less. And it's not just GTA. Sony is preparing to stop producing new physical PlayStation discs starting January 2028. That is a massive deal, because once one major platform moves away from disc, the rest of the industry starts feeling way more comfortable doing the same. And from a business angle, I get it. Digital games are easier to sell, more control, more money, and from a company perspective, it makes sense. From a player perspective, it sucks. Because every time gaming gets more profitable for companies, it feels like players lose one more piece of control. And this is where I think the conversation needs to change. Because yes, I would love for real physical media to survive forever. I would love every game to have the full thing on disc or cartridge. But realistically, I don't think we're winning that fight. The industry has already decided where it wants to go. So now the fight has to be about making sure the digital future does not completely destroy the used game market, preservation, and affordability. Because gaming is completely unaffordable. New games are expensive, deluxe editions are expensive, controllers are expensive, subscriptions are expensive, storage is expensive, DLCs are expensive, and somehow every game has 3 editions now. That's why the used game market matters. It gives people options. It lets kids play games they miss. It lets people trade in games that they're done with. And it lets a game keep circulating after launch. That is important. And if everything becomes digital only with no resale, then players are stuck paying whatever the platform says. Yeah, digital sales exist, but those sales happen when the company allows them. A used copy sitting on a shelf is different. That copy is competition. That copy is leverage. That copy is the reason someone can play a game without paying full price. So if physical media is dying, we need a replacement that at least keeps that part alive. Because without the used game market, these companies have no reason to lower their prices. And so this is where I'm going to say something that might sound cursed. I think companies need to embrace the game key card. Not because they're perfect, they're not. A game keycard is not true ownership. It does not have the full game on it. It still depends on the download, it still has preservation problems, and if the servers go away, that card becomes useless. So no, this is not the dream. This is not me saying thank you corporations for inventing worse cartridges. But compared to a one-time download code in a box, game keycards are better, because at least the card itself still matters. You can still borrow it, resell it, trade it. You can keep some version of the used market alive, and honestly at this point, this might be the lesser of two evils. Because of the choices between a code in a box that dies the second you redeem it, or a physical key that can still move between people, I'm picking the key. I don't love it, I don't think it's ideal, but I think it's a better outcome than the future where physical retail becomes nothing but empty boxes and gift cards. And Xbox might be experimenting with an even more interesting version of this. There are reports that Microsoft is testing a disc-to-digital system where you can use a physical disc to unlock access to the digital version. But the important part is that the digital entitlement is tied to the disc, not just your account forever. The idea is, if you sell the disc, trade it, or give it to someone else, the digital access move with it. That is actually interesting, because that gives players some of the convenience of digital while keeping the disc useful. You can install the digital version, maybe play across devices, maybe avoid constantly swapping discs, but the disc still acts like proof of ownership. Again, it is not as good as having the full game on disc. Let's not pretend it is. But if the companies are dead set on moving away from traditional physical media, then this is the kind of compromise we should be pushing for. Not empty boxes, not one-time codes, not thanks for buying the thing you can never resell, a physical key, a disc key. Something that gives players a cheaper way in. Something that doesn't completely erase the idea of sharing, trading, and collecting. Because if the industry is going digital no matter what, then at least they can do is not destroy every consumer benefit physical games had. Now, to be clear again, game key cards and disc keys do not fix everything. They are not ideal. I don't want this to be their future. But they still help the used market. They help retail, they help affordability, but preservation is still a problem. Because if the game is not actually on the card or disc, then long-term access still depends on servers. Games are not just products. They are history, they are memories. If Back to the Future disappeared tomorrow and no one can legally watch it, people would rightfully lose their mind. But with games, stuff disappears all the time and people act like that's normal. The Video Game History Foundation found that 87% of classic games are not currently in release. That is embarrassing. Imagine if 87% of old movies were unavailable. Imagine if most classic albums can only be heard if you found an original CD in someone's garage. That would be insane. But gaming keeps treating this like it's just part of the hobby. So even if game key cards are better than code in boxes, they are not the final answer. We still need preservation. We still need offline modes. We still need private server options. We still need companies to stop acting like the games are disposable the second they stop printing money. The Crew is one of the clearest examples of why this matters. Ubisoft shut down the servers, and because the game requires online access, the game became unplayable. It's not hard to find, it's not unsupported, unplayable. People paid money for that game. I have friends that played that game and paid a lot of money in that game, and now it's just gone. And look, I don't think companies should have to support every online game forever. That's not realistic. But there has to be some kind of end-of-life plan. Because if a company can sell you a game, and then later make it completely unplayable, what did you actually buy? That's why the Stop Killing Games movement got attention. People are tired of games being sold like products, but treated like temporary services. And honestly, they're right. If a game has no offline future, say that clearly. Don't sell it like it's part of my library forever, then act shocked when people get mad that the library has a self-destruct button. So what should players actually push for? First, real physical copies when possible. If the whole game can fit on the disc or cartridge, put it there. Second, if companies refuse to do that, then give us game key cards or disc keys instead of one-time codes. It's not ideal. Still worse than real physical ownership, but it's better than nothing. Third, protect the used game market. Let people sell, trade, borrow, buy cheaper copies. Gaming should not become a luxury hobby, where every new game costs almost $100 and the only option is whatever the digital store feels like charging. When God of War 4 came out, I did not play the new release of it. I bought it used years later. I fell in love with the game, and guess what? When God of War Ragnarok came out, I bought a new copy day one because I felt invested. Used games are a gateway into you buying more games. They also create competition with the manufacturers to allow more sales. Fourth, make preservation part of the plan. Offline modes, private server support, DRM free releases when possible, something. And fifth, just be honest. If I'm buying a license, say I'm buying a license. If the physical box has no game in it, say that clearly. Don't just have it be a small little blurb at the bottom. If the game will die when the server shuts down, tell people before they spend money. Players can handle the truth. What we're tired of is buying something called a game and finding out later it was just actually permission. So no, digital games are not evil. Physical games are not perfect, but ownership is shrinking. And if we're being honest, the old version of physical media is probably never coming back. That sucks, but it also means the fight has to get smarter. We might not be able to stop the push to digital, but we can push for a better version of it. A version where games can still be resold, where players still have cheaper options, where physical items still mean something, where preservation is not treated like an afterthought, where buying a game does not feel like asking permission from a server. Because if the future is digital no matter what, then fine. But don't give us empty boxes. Give us something we can actually use, something we can trade that keeps games alive after launch. That may not be true ownership. I understand that, and it's not ideal, but it's a lot better than owning nothing. Oh man. If you enjoyed the video, comment below one game you bought that you can no longer have access to. I'm really curious to see how many games are just lost. For me, it's the PS4 Godzilla game. The game is super rare now, and I have no way of playing it because it was delisted on PlayStation. And if you want more videos about the weird direction gaming is going, subscribe, because next time we're going to be talking about live service games, or as I like to call them, games that want to be your second job.